Hello everyone, welcome to sqadia.com. I'm Hina Khan and today the topic of our lecture is the mental health and the mental illnesses. So it's basically the psychological well-being that we're talking about right now, and it's not merely the absence of the mental illness that regards towards the mental health. So, according to the definition of WHO, we'll be taking into account the mental health. What are the stigmatas and the taboos that are related to the mental health? And there are a lot of myths that surround this mental health and this mental illnesses. So, we'll be talking about them in detail over here in this lecture. In the first section, we'll be primarily discussing the definition of WHO. So how WHO has defined mental health, it's quite a comprehensive definition and it's quite applicable as well. So we'll be discussing that over here. And we'll also be discussing the child mental health, which is a very important and a basic problem that we always come across. So in the second section, we'll be dealing with the mental illnesses. First of all, we'll start off with the definition and then we'll move on to the classification of these mental illnesses. So there are a lot of classifications and these international classifications will be discussed over here. There are a lot of entities and dimensions to this mental health. We'll be discussing them as well over here. As I've already told you, there are a lot of myths and there are a lot of taboos that are associated with this mental health. We'll be discussing them and we'll be clearing them off over here in this section. Then we'll be discussing the effects of cultural behavior. So whenever we are looking at a mental health issue, it is always subjective. It always have the cultural stigmatas related to it. We'll be dealing with them over here. In the third section, we'll be dealing with the mental and physical health. So obviously the mental and the physical issues, they are interrelated. So we'll be discussing them, the psychomotor, the somatoform diseases. There are the different variations to the mental illnesses. They are secondary to physical illness, or if they are secondary to the mental illness, we'll be discussing them. Then sexual disorders and dysfunctions are sometimes related to mental health or mental illnesses. So we'll be taking them in account over here in this third section. Moreover, in the fourth section, we'll be dealing with anti-psychiatry. So this anti-psychiatry movements are even the doctors, they come across these anti-psychiatry movements, and sometimes the doctors themselves are anti-psychiatry and they do not really relate to these psychiatrical explanations to different problems. So we'll be discussing them as well. The different explanations to these anti-psychiatry movements that are even ongoing in a lot of countries, we'll be discussing them. Then there are a lot of myths and facts. We'll be clearing them out over here in this fourth section. Finally, the stigma that is associated to the mental health. If you have a mental illness, there are a lot of taboos and a stigma is associated in every society. In the West, in the East, it's a big stigma that is associated to this child mental illnesses and what stigmas are related to this child mental illnesses. Then the media, how is it projecting these mental illnesses? And what is the real state of these mental illnesses, actually what the media is projecting and what the cultures are projecting. So we'll be discussing them over here in detail. Then finally, the interventions to reduce the stigma. If there is a problem, we have to deal with it, and how to deal with it, and how to deal with the stigmas associated with it. So I hope you want to learn more about these mental health and mental illnesses. So do watch the other sections to this lecture as well.